Good evening everyone and welcome to TTML Division 5. We are here for round 3 of the championship as we take in the Spanish Grand Prix from the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia. My name is James Hay, going to be taking you through the stream as your lead commentator and indeed TTML's head commentator tonight as well. And joining me in the commentary box, it's not a Friday night without him, it is Mr. Daniel Hoggard. Dan, how you doing?
Thank you, James, and thank you for the introduction. Hello, everyone, and welcome to what will be the third round of the TTML Division 5 Championship. Today, as you mentioned, comes to you from Barcelona, Catalonia, here in Spain, or depending on your allegiance, may not be in Spain. Let's not get political on stream. We're going to move on with this then, ahead of round 3. And after our double race winner, Crawler Damon, has been promoted up to Division 4. That leaves things wide open ahead of this round, and I think this week we're going to get a good indication of who's going to be the next dominant driver, who's going to move to the forefront with the man who won both the opening rounds of the season. We'll get a different winner tonight. The question is, who will it be?
Who will it be indeed? And I'll just pick up on your political point. We've had enough of politics this week, I think. This is a politics-free zone here in TTML Division 5. Hopefully Joe Biden wins, though. That's all I'm saying. Crawler Damon did win last time out in China, but about 15 seconds out on track. It was a very impressive win from him. Invictus second, Mason third. Obviously, as Dan mentioned, Crawler Damon has been moved up into Division 4. He still leads the championship on 60 points. He is still in the standings and counted as the championship leader, but it is actually Maze, if you think about it now, on top on 45 points. Jimmy Storm currently third on 38. Stian Ramble, who's not here, in fourth on 31. Sapmi King in fifth on 28, with Jack Roos in sixth on 27. The two reserves doing well there as well. Invictus in seventh on 25. Salas in eighth on 21. Schmidtsky and Passels in ninth on 20 points. They're tied for that position. Zero in 11th on 14, with Storm in 12th on 11, Rock City in 13th on 10, then we've got Nellis and Bart tied in for 14th on 9, Hulkenberg and Free Gronk tied in 16th on 8 points, Torenheim in 18th on 6, Serve the Blessed in 19th on 5, and Jeffrey in 20th on 4. And Maze inheriting the lead from Crawler Damon, obviously getting promoted. How do you think he'll get on? Because so far, he's been really consistent, and he had a little bit of luck last time out as well in China.
He did, and of course he was in the hunt as well for getting that P2 on track. So he has overall been the leading challenger to Crawler Damon. But I wouldn't say that this is a done deal for me. Certainly not. He does have a lot of very close challengers. You have the likes of Jerry Storms very close to him in the championship standings, and we saw other drivers impressing the opening rounds as well. Maze does have a very good chance. But I don't see him dominating this championship because I don't think that he's an outstanding driver on pace, but he's able to just pick up the points at where it matters and, maximise every round. So I think that Maze has a really good chance of taking it home, but even though he now inherits that net championship lead, there's so many quick drivers around that can take that fight that I really don't see any runaway victor. Especially now that we don't have a Crawler Damon winning everything. It could well be a far more competitive series, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it all unfolds.
It will, and I think there's no standout name, I think, within the drivers' standings either.
Yep.
It's going to be fascinating, I think, for the guys to see how they're going to do out on track. We've got the drivers now readying up within lobby. As you can see, it looks like we've got 19 drivers here tonight, which is a very good attendance, of course, for Division 5, and hopefully we'll get some great action as well out on track. Do you have, by the way, the constructors standings? Because I've seen not to have saved them.
Right, I can I can run you through those right now. Rather surprisingly, in my opinion, actually, Racing Point lead the way in the constructor standings on 59 points. It's very, very close. Mercedes are just in behind on 55. Crawler Damon on his own scored 60 points actually, but that just shows how competitive it is. But of course, he was a reserve, so those points don't count to any constructor. AlphaTauri are third place, a little way behind on 37. Then it's Williams on 28, very tight behind them. McLaren fifth on 25. Renault sixth on 20. Then behind that you have Red Bull on 18. Haas on 8 on 13. Alfa Romeo on 11. And Ferrari rounding off the constructors' standings on 9 points at the bottom. We'll see if that all changes. We are now getting ready for the Spanish Grand Prix for Season 2 of TTML Division 5. Let's see how this one unfolds. This track, in many ways, very, very different to China, although it does have a few similarities as well, so we'll see how they get on, but certainly a track that has just a very unique characteristic to it, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the racing all unfolds here tonight, starting of course with a one-shot qualified to kick things off.
Yeah, if you've viewed the action during the week as well, we've been through the ringer in terms of the weather conditions as well in qualifying. We had intermediate conditions in Division 1. That only started to dry up towards the end of the session, and then we had a full dry qualifying session with the majority of the field actually in Division 2 going on a set of medium compound tyres. If you can hear any fireworks, by the way, you would mistake it to be bonfire night where I live. It is not. The fireworks are still going off. To those people that are so ignorant, well, yeah. The less we say about you, the better, I think. Anyways, we're into qualifying, and again, it seems like we're going through the ringer with the weather conditions. I will get there eventually. It looks quite cloudy out on track, and that I think will favour those guys in an early qualifying. All of the guys will be going out, I think, on a medium compound of tyres because they will work better, and the track will evolve.
Certainly, and we'll see what the tyre choices are going to be early on in the session. I'm looking at the standings. A few drivers, quite a number of them, have selected the mediums to go out. Certainly the first driver out on track, OWR Tornheim, has opted for that medium compound, the yellow wool tyre. So keep an eye out for what the choices are going to be early on in the session and who is going to strike first, because this is a relatively high dire dig track, I believe, so expect the strategies to not be very conventional, and you can see a lot of drivers potentially opting for mediums to set their top lap in qualifying, or if they qualify outside the top 10, I don't imagine much of them will be going on soft. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, I do expect that some rather unique strategies are going to be run here at a track where tyre dig is very, very high.
Yeah, tyre dig is very high. I was going to correct you because I think you said dire dig earlier on there as well. Tornheim, though, coming through, and he looks like he's nearly invalidated actually on this outlap. He's now running up towards turn 11 and 12. And this final sector is so technical. One wrong move at this final sector, as just proven there, funny enough, by Tornheim invalidating on his lap, will cost you in qualifying. He's now through turn 14 and 15, now through 16 and about to start off the lap. And remember, we do have that chicane here tonight as well, not the old layout, of course, that ran in the mid-2000s. Tornheim now running down towards turn 1. That's a Ferrari of McLaren, I should say, of Invictus getting out of the way. You can tell I'm colourblind already as we come now through turns 1 and 2. And Tornheim now coming through turn 3. Looking good so far on the power. Just looked a little bit unstable, I think, on the rear end through there, but very nice indeed. 21.6 through the first sector, and he attacks the curbs. Now coming through turn 4, Hulkenberg to the right-hand side of him there in the Haas, gets out of the way, and now Tornheim into the very tricky braking zone of turn 5. Making that look pretty easy. He now runs through the kink at turn 6 and then through this tricky left-right. This is the track where most of the invalidations were picked up in Division 2 last night. Tornheim through there, very nice indeed. Passelt already has picked up a 5-place grid penalty for collision with Salas. I think that was just ahead actually of Tornheim out on track. A little bit of front wing damage actually on the track there. 50.2 through the middle sector for Tornheim. So I'm guessing Salas has ran into the back of Passelt, and Passelt has probably picked up that penalty if I'm not mistaken. Tornheim now coming through turn 13, really fighting the car. Now through, beautiful, through turn 13, and now through 14 and 15. And then through turn 16 out on track. It's going to be a valid lap as long as he hits the final corner nicely. And yeah, comes across the line now, and we're already in the 116s, 116.9. And Bart, I think, is behind him out on track as well. And Bart actually has spun through turn 9.
Oh dear, yep, just clocked that there. So Bart, I believe this is his first showing of the season, so just maybe try to get into the swing of things then and get laps down. Schmetzke is going to be over the line next, I believe. We'll see how it compares to the 169 of Tornheim. It's a little bit slower, some 8/10 off. Schmetzke, who has actually impressed me so far this season, settles for that time there on a 1:17.7. Let's see some of the other times beginning to come in. I believe there's a McLaren just coming over the line. That's Jeff Truss. And yeah, so I've seen more there. What have you seen, James?
Sadly, Kane nearly missed the pit lane actually coming in. He just looked like he looked a bit unstable coming through there. Through the final corner, Sadly King into the pit lane. He was invalid anyways, but it looked like he was almost going to go into the pit wall. That was very close.
Rather strange there. Brick Frog comes over the line, and it's a little bit down again, 1:18.6, so it's quite spread out at the moment. So these drivers going to have to try put some better lap times out. We have our first lap on the softs coming in. Passels goes second at 1:17.5. So that lap from Tornheim does look very impressive then.
Oh!
We now have a lap on the softs. What's that? Is that? I think it was a McLaren I saw just about up ahead.
Invictus spinning out the final corner through turn 15. He's lost the right side end plate as well, recovers the car, does the J-turn and goes back into the pit lane. Quite lucky and quite fortunate actually where he might have crashed. But he was on for a very good lap with that. But Invictus back into the pit lane. And I've just tried, by the way, I've just changed my UI so it now fits with the telemetry and the lap data off. People seem to like that over the last couple of days, so I'll keep it like that.
Oh, that's not what I've ever ran, so that's actually rather foreign to me. But I suppose you got to do what you got to do for the spectators out there. So it looks like we are in a bit of a transition point there. We only have 4 lap times on the board, just over 5 minutes into this qualifying session. We have Hulkenberg coming in the last corner. That's a validate. It's going to be going again with the ERS now turns on anyone else to line up there. Jimmy Storm comes into the pit lane. Jimmy Storm has emerged as a potential championship contender. We have Serve the Blessed coming through, and it's just in front of that marker. Passes then on the soft tyres. A few hundreds up there, another 1:17.5. And that's immediately replaced actually by Passes, who goes back up to second. But it's a very quiet opening to the session then. Many drivers have not actually exited the pit lane itself, so we're not seeing much change yet. They're only 5 times on the board. That suggests maybe people are holding back to go in the hards or the mediums later on in the session, and they're trying not to waste those tyres, so they're sitting in the pit lane for the time being.
Yeah, I think honestly these guys are running and watching these guys out on track. The cloud cover is quite fragrant actually over the track. It's probably about 80% cloud cover, a little bit of sun trying to break through. But this track will evolve, and I think that's what people are trying to think out on track. Hopefully we're going to see some good laps out on track. Rock City has stopped, by the way, through the final sector. Jeffrey just getting out of the way, to the left-hand side. He's done an out lap. There's a Haas as well on that lap. I think Rock City is spying that little bit of a gap behind Hulkenberg, and Hulkenberg now on a lap, I do believe. He might be coming into the pit lane. We'll just run a ball with Rock City. Yeah, Hulkenberg into the pit lane. And now Rock City lines us up for another lap out on track. Jack Roos, by the way, went second with a 1:17.1 on a set of mediums. So quicker than Passos by a 10th.
Yeah, we are seeing still the top 2 on those medium tyres. Let's have a look at this lap from Rock City, though, heading into the very high-speed first sector. 4th and then 5th gear through turn 1. Spins it, going through turn 2. Got on the curb and is just about able to keep out of the corner, out of the wall. Nellis now goes fastest, though. 1:16.7. Fastest by a quarter of a second. Impressive lap from the Ferrari, and could give them a boost in the Constructors' Championship as well. So Nellis going to the top. We'll see if it maintains there. We've still got 10 minutes to go in a session where relatively few lap times have actually been set. Coming through though, I think we have 0 coming in the last few corners now on the medium tyres, and getting the rear end a bit stepped out there. And here we go now, coming around the final corner. This looks to be a quick lap, and it certainly is. 0 to the top there, 1:16.5, another improvement. The time's now starting to come down, and we're seeing now these guys getting into the mid 1:16s. I think the potential of the track there was that Jeffrey going out.
Jeffrey crashing into the wall. He looked like he actually fell the throttle. I'm not sure if there was a throttle issue or anything there, or if he's just totally bended out on track out of his own reward. So Jeffrey is out of the session. Really unsure what happened there. I was on board really with the halo cam, so I didn't really see the back end or anything like that. But Jeffrey is out of the session, and he's down in 20th in the standings, and that's not what you want.
Yeah, especially for a driver that usually thrives on quali pace. He's actually taken both of the pole positions so far this season. So that is a major, major blow to Jeffrey in a season that has gone almost completely, entirely against him so far. Jeffrey now has to try and recover come the race, surely. That is barely disappointing for the Red Bull driver. And yeah, fight back. Well, it's looking worse and worse for a driver that at one point looked like he might secure a second place finish in the standings last season, but this season has so far went horribly for Jeffrey, and it, already now with two races and a qualifying session going so far against him, Jeffrey's got a long way back to try and climb up the standings.
Yes, Happy King coming around the final corner. Very quick through this final sector, if I've got to be honest, and comes across the line and goes third. I was expecting him to actually go behind Torrenheim, but he really picked up the pace through that final sector, about 4/10 off in terms of Zero's middle sector. Sapmi King can improve on that. 116.7. He goes into third for now. Maze is on lap 21.4 in the first sector, but we'll run on board with Invictus, who's on a set of soft compound of tyres as he now comes through the formidable turn 9 and hits it beautifully. Coming through turn 9, misses the apex, but let's see in comparison to Zero's middle sector, 49.5. He is 4/10 quicker than Zero through this middle sector alone. Now up the hill through turn 11 and then through turn 12 out on track, and the McLaren looking really good. He'll be the next to come across the line as well. There's a Mercedes, I think, had a bit of a half spin coming through, and there's a Racing Point round as well in the middle sector. I think that might be Silas, if I'm not mistaken. Invictus now coming around the final corner. Inevitably, he's going to go quicker. This is going to be a 1:15. Invictus across the line, 1:15.7, and he's 8/10 quicker than Zero. But the real scenario is, are drivers going to go for that set of soft compound of tyres? I think Invictus has gone way too early on that tyre.
It may have well, though, changed the whole game in this session. Will you see more drivers opting for the soft? Maze was on a lap, invalidated, backed off, now seems to be going again. Further back there on the track. I think we have a Racing Point coming to the line. That's Jimmy Storm. We'll see where he goes. He goes into 5th place. It's very, very tight in that region of the field there. Nellis to Bart is just 600ths of a second. Remarkably tight. We have Schumi now to the line. That's invalid though, and backed off at the end. So it looks like some of these drivers are actually struggling to just get laps on the board there. Keep it within the white lines. And Invictus, yeah, going very, very early. Going onto that set of tyres and going quickest by some margin. We'll see if he holds on to it. But yeah, that could be an alternate strategy. But now, will Invictus set a precedent? That's what I want to know. If that's going to change the mentality of the rest of the drivers in the session. Are they going to see Invictus try and... is Invictus going to lead by example? And will we see more drivers going for the softs in the latter part of that session? Freak Frog now out now.
Yeah, Freak Frog coming out through turn 9. We're right on board with Silas, who I think is coming through turn 9 now. It's actually Jippy Storm, and I can't get to him in time, so unfortunately for him, but I can go on board with Schumi. There he is to the right hand side, and Schumi, there's Freak Frog's car. Schumi up through the middle sector, 49.5, there or thereabouts in terms of Invictus's middle sector. So this is going to be Schumi's response to Invictus out on track. But I think, if May's going second, I think he's backed off this, to be honest, Schumi. Coming through turn 13, he doesn't look that quick. Coming through 14 and 15, and he's backed off. He wasn't happy with the lap. He's going to get a valid lap in, certainly, and he'll still, with him backing off, go 5th, which is not too bad. He's only a second off.
That's peculiar to me. He looked like he was on course to even challenge Invictus lap time, but in the end, he seemed to back off considerably in that final sector. So Schumi goes P5 then, again going into that long list of drivers that have set a 116.7. That's remarkably close in that area of the field then. And in a field that's not particularly tight as a whole. Well, that's certainly a rather intriguing data point to look at. Who is on a lap at the moment there? I believe Hulkenberg, though, that's invalid. It looks to be going again, though. I think he's put a bit of mileage on those tyres now. It has these softs on. So we'll see where the Haas driver is able to put that car. A lot of drivers now, I think, heading for pit lane, gearing up for final runs. I still think there's a couple of drivers that haven't went out on track yet. So we'll see how they all shape up. Invictus still at the top by some margin. Will the rest of the field, though, opt for the soft tyres and see if they can try and, create a bit of almost a bit of an order on the softs then in qualifying, on that strategy for the race. We know that is not going to be the fastest strategy in the race, but if Invictus, for example, has a lot of drivers on the softs between him and the medium runners, that could really assist him, and it gives him a better chance of having more of a buffer between himself and the medium starters, and he can just sort of run more of his own race and have a much better chance of getting up on the podium, or maybe even a win. We'll see, though.
Yeah, gap from a set of mediums to softs, by the way, is about 1.2, 1.3 seconds, even more than that. Bart round the final corner, comes across the line, didn't improve, but he did put on a set of medium compound of tyres, which was why we were running on board with interest. As an Alfa Romeo round through the middle sector, I think that's NSR Storm on an outlap. Not many drivers out on track, but somebody I think that has started a lap there is Passos, and he's on the run down towards turn 1. 17.2 currently, in 12th, behind Jack Roos, the reserve. Schmidtski just behind him out on track as well. And Passel's currently P12. As he now comes through this first sector split through turn 3. Now through the first sector split, and he's there or thereabouts in the first sector, 500s down. But where you're aiming, where do you want him to aim to try and improve? I'm thinking like Torrenheim sort of area might be an area that he can improve into.
I think that's a reasonable assumption then. That's a pretty usual improvement, 0.3 of a second. So we'll see where Passes is able to put himself there, heading now to the fantastic turn 9 then. Beautiful high-speed corner. We've got yellows just up ahead. That's for an AlphaTauri, I believe, of Bart. Ooh. So I'm not sure if Bart's backed off there. And I didn't actually clock the second sector time with Passes. Was it quick?
Yep, 200s up, purple in the middle sector, but indicative on his personal best. He's purple on his personal best.
Okay, so Passel's now heading now through turn 14, getting that nice and stop there. Running out now on the exit then, planted that throttle around turn 16 to the line there. Passel's currently 12, goes up to 9th, pretty much exactly where he predicted. that was a pretty... Of all your predictions, James, that is certainly one of your better ones there. Only 100th of a second from Torrenheim. I'd say job well done there, James.
Yeah, I'll take that, to be honest. Passel's only 8,000 quicker actually than Torrenheim. NSL Storm just came in with a lap there, 118.1 across the line. There's a McLaren just starting up on a lap with the Jack Roos. There's a Racing Point through the final corner, which is Jibby Storm, just trying to pick up on anybody that's on a lap. But quite a few drivers have actually retired in the session. Mays and Nellis and Sapmi King all out to the session as well. And I think they've all retired in the pit lane with 2 minutes and 15 seconds to go. And I wonder if that has been done either for tyre deg or the threat of rain.
Well, we'll see, but I think it's more down to the fact that there's no point really continuing. I think that shows that they are fully committed to a medium strategy and they'd have no intention of improving on that lap time. That's how I read into it. We will see, of course, how it all unfolds and how everything is affected. So we'll see now how everything's going to shape up there. Silas round the final corner now, and the Racing Point on the boat with the timesheets. Handset representative time, that's one there, goes into 9th place, just behind Bart and just ahead of Silas in that kind of region of cars in the high 16. Still remarkably close in that area of the field. So we'll see now, is anyone nearing the end of a flying lap? Do you have anyone, James? Because I'm kind of having to look. I think Jack Roos is coming round then on a pretty fast one. And the McLaren currently sits 13th, goes up into 2nd on a 16 flat. The McLaren's coming through, and this is what I mean about the drivers stacking up and almost offering a bit of a buffer for Invictus, or maybe even challenging for pole. Jimmy Storm, though, that's a quick lap, 1:16.2, and he's been one of the stars of the season so far. Jimmy Storm, now the fastest medium runner, and he's in a prime position ahead of the race now.
He is indeed, and he's retired out on track as well, ahead of Mays by a 10th of a second. Rock City across the line, he's lost into 5th, just in behind his teammate out on track. We've got Schumi on an outlap there as well. There's an AlphaTauri coming around the final corner, which is Torrenheim. Then the Alfa Romeo of Day Miles is coming around the final corner. He's on a set of soft compound of tyres. They're looking pretty quick from the Welshman. Comes across the line, and he actually goes 12th in the end, 1:16.9, 1.2 seconds off. There's a Racing Point around the final corner, which is Salas. He is into the pit lane, being 2/10ths down. Anybody else on a lap? Schmidtski around the final 2 corners. Now through 15 and then through 16, and he'd be hoping to try and improve. Somebody, though, has lost it through that middle, through the final sector. Schmidtski goes 3rd, 16.1.
Yeah, that was a Serve the Blessed spinning off. And we also have a car off at turn 1. I think that's NSR Storm. No, my apologies, I'm looking at the wrong Alfa Romeo. Yeah, okay, so Day Miles must have retired on track. We're coming towards the end of proceedings here at qualifying. The last of the lap times are going to be coming in, and I think one of the next cars to cross the line is going to be Invictus, currently on provisional pole.
He's improving.
Wants to try and stretch that margin. Here comes Invictus, many numbers to the line, and it is an improvement by 1/10 of a second and extends his advantage. Rock City is not improving, dives pit lane. So we're now looking at OWR Schumi around turn 16 now to the line. Currently 9th place, will want to make that better, and wow, has certainly put himself right in the mix. A 1:16.3 goes in a 6th place then. We are beginning to calm down out there. FC Bart, I believe, is the only driver actually on a full-blown flying lap there. So let's have a look. Goes out turn 9 and spears off.
He went too quick coming through turn 9, and that is the Project Cars 2 instinct right there. You do not go that quick coming through turn 9. Goodness me, absolutely sent it. It was 3,000 up at the time as well, so he might have been improving. But Bart, sadly, the Project Cars 2 instinct not really coming to good effect there, and he stays in 11th. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's his qualifying done. And Invictus out on top. Jack Roux second, McLaren 1-2, Schmidtsky in third. But the rest of the top 10, interestingly, all starting on a set of medium compound of tyres. And I said last night that on a set of mediums and on a set of softs, it's about 5% a lap around here that these tyres will die off on. So expect early pit stops, and maybe even with Division 5, expect an early safety car. I've said it now, haven't I?
There has been a bit of a track record, if I'm honest, in Division 5, so we will see, of course. But yeah, Invictus storming to pole position, but only two drivers, I should say, that are kind of protecting him, as I was kind of bringing up that point a few times. Jimmy Storm, I think, has got a really strong position ahead of this race then. Fastest on the mediums, and, well, what you're going to be seeing now is going to be absolutely fascinating come the race, because we now have your top 2 in the championship, who essentially going to be your top 2 medium runners, medium starters for qualifying, and that is going to be so intriguing to see how they line up there. That could be so crucial in the claim at the championship. Jimmy Storm and Mays, expect that to be a major battle in the early laps of this race.
That Invictus lap time did not get beat by anyone. 1:15.6 and 4.5 tenths quicker, just about, out on track ahead of Jack Roux. Schmidtsky in third with Jimmy Storm in fourth, Mays in fifth, Schumi sixth, Rock City in seventh, Zero in eighth, Nelson ninth, and Satney King rounding off the top 10. Barton 11th, and now this is where it gets quite confusing, because Day Miles, Torenheim, Serve the Blessed, Hulkenberg and Frigg Ronk all move up 1 or 2 positions. That means Silas, who has picked up a penalty, and Parcells, who have picked up penalties, are going to be starting pretty much right from the back of the field. NSL Storm, I think, is 19th. No, NSL Storm will move up into 18th. Parcells 19th, Jeffrey 20th. That's how it'll work out on track. You'll see the correct order come up on the left-hand side in just a second. But 33 laps await these guys out on track, and we have already spoken about in qualifying about this high tyre degradation out on track. Just how important is it to get the drivers and to get the tyres especially switched on out on track? Because I can see there in Shumi's garage certainly a set of hards might be coming out for him.
Yeah, the medium and the hard runners, whoever opts for that tyre, they're certainly going to have to try and get them in the window. In fact, though, what I'm interested to see with the soft runners is how they apply things, because you don't really want to be getting those tyre temperatures up too high on the formation lap, so there may be a chance of overheating them in the actual race. Of course, that breeds more tyre wear and far less pace as well. So it's a bit of a delicate balance for the soft runners, but as for the medium and the hard runners, they just need to try and get as much temperature in those tyres as they can on the formation lap to make sure, as you mentioned, that they are switched on for the start, and so they have a much better chance of holding on to the soft runners in the early laps of the race.
And here we go then, the formation lap is about to begin. 33 laps, as I say, await these guys out on track. And now they begin to get underway. I can report it is sunny, which is great to see. And I'm not really surprised at the tyre strategy at all out on track. Silas and Day Miles being really the exception rather than the rule. And Day Miles especially in 11th position on a set of soft compound of tyres. Now, we saw a safety car in Division 2 last night. Mashiro went on to win the race. And out on track, set of soft compound of tyres, because of that safety car, they went 2 or 3 laps longer than expected. So if that safety car comes out about lap 4 like it did in Division 2, then we will see the gap really begin to close up, and these soft runners will begin to come into play later on in the race, especially if they can make a one-stop strategy work around here in Spain. But Silas as well on a set of hard compound of tyres, both exception rather than the rule. Anybody from that bottom 10 that really strikes out at you trying to make progress, I think Day Miles might be the one.
Day Miles and also Jeffrey, who I do think still has exceptional pace in this division, but ultimately hasn't made use of it so far. Keep an eye out for Jeffrey. I still think he has a chance of maybe getting some solid points if he has a clean race, and so far this season he has not been. Day Miles needs a good start to make that strategy work, needs to move right up into deep into that top 10, I think, to have a real chance of hanging on to that track position. And he's also relying on a safety car, as are the top 3 as well. They need, as you mentioned, that safety car to be able to push those tyres a few laps longer, give them a better chance of pulling off a one-stop strategy, which will really do a good job of keeping them in this race and giving the likes of Invictus, Jack Roos, Smitsky and TTML a much stronger chance of fighting for those top points-paying positions.
And as we've got the snake, as I like to call it, coming through the final couple of corners still, who's your top 3?
A top 3, I'm going to say Maze for the win, Jimmy Storm second, championship contenders lining up the front of the grid. And I'm going to have faith in Invictus to keep that podium run going. We'll see. My predictions, of course, are shocking. Although I did actually get one right this week. Completely right. So we'll see how it all unfolds, but I don't have high hopes for that. But yeah, that's my top 3 for the race.
Here we go then. Round 3 of the championship is about to begin as my cameras don't work. Invictus sets us off and it's light down, and we've got a great start by Jimmy Storm in the background there as well, and he could get the run possibly on all 3 of these guys running down towards turn 1. There's already been a bit of contact in the background. Storm has been hit off, I think, by Sappy King on the run down, but coming through turn 1, Invictus lead. Schmitsky up to second. Good start from him. Already somebody across the curb. Rock City, and there's a spinner. Zero is round, I think, on the curb coming through turn 3. They might already bring out a VSC. It has. The VSC has been deployed out on track, and already we get a little bit of drama. I think Zero, he just carried a little bit too much speed coming through. Schmitsky had to slow all of the pack up there out on track just to meet his delta time, and he's lost 2 seconds to Invictus as a result. But Invictus leads, Schmitsky second, Jack Roos in third. That car will be cleared up, or the debris will be cleared up coming out to turn 3, and we will be back underway very shortly indeed. And you can see the pace just beginning to pick up, which makes me suggest that we could see the VSC end sooner rather than later. But right on board with Nellis, who's in 6th, right on the back of Maze, who's in 5th. And again, these guys have just got to stick to their delta time, got to get heat into the tyres. But Day Miles, look at him. He's already up into 7th position out on track in human form, not as AI. He's in 7th position and he's gained 4 positions out on track as Nellis really wants to try and attack Maze underneath the restart. Storm, by the way, is through on Zero further down the field, but a great restart by Invictus sees him 1.4 seconds out in front. Schmitsky in second, Javrus in third, and Javrus is pretty much pulling Schmitsky coming through the chicane, and Salas and Torenheim, I think, have had a little bit of contact. But let the graphics glitch commence. Invictus leads, Schmitsky second, Jack Roos third, Jimmy Storm in 4th.
Yeah, Invictus actually gained so much ground just under the VSC. Schmitsky seemed to leave a massive gap. And
I think Silas, sorry to cut in, I think Silas has got front wing damage coming into the pit lane. I think he might have hit the pit wall on the way into the pit lane, or he's spun and he's got that car back around. Very interesting though nonetheless, and he's got no front wing. So yeah, I did see that on the mini map. He's got no front wing. He's obviously crashed, I think, coming either into the pit wall or into the pit lane. And Silas now has got to do it all over again. He's down right at the back of the field, and a Williams of Free Gronk comes out ahead of him as well. But Invictus leads, Schmitsky second, Jack Roos in third, Jibby Storm in 4th. But Jibby Storm has put a lot of pressure on the soft runners ahead of Rock City is out.
Yeah, that was coming out of turn 9, must have ran wide, went through the gravel potentially, and has spun that into the wall. We have a second VSC. That is heartbreaking for Rock City, not a good day at all, as the timings begin to finally set themselves out. Invictus still leads the way, and is well clear now of Schmitsky. Now, I don't expect any pit stops at all under this VSC, as actually, let me eat my words immediately. Schmitsky has taken a huge gamble here. Surely that means he's committed to a 2-stop strategy. He will get something of a cheap pit stop, but I'm not sure that's a good strategy call from Schmitsky. He's going to have to pit yet again, and I don't know if that's going to gain him at all in this race. I wasn't expecting a pit stop. Schmitsky has proved to be wrong, but can he somehow make use of it? He's going to be well down the field and with another pit stop to make.
He will be well down the field, but I think with these 2 VSCs and 2 laps, he'll be hoping for a full-on safety car to come out. He's gone on to a set of mediums, he is committed to a 2-stop, and he's came out crucially in clear air out on track. Nellis is all over the back of Maze. Down Miles is all over the back as well of Nellis, and Nellis to the outside line coming through turn 5. Not going to get the move done. Day Miles is down the inside. Got the speed absolutely came from absolutely nowhere, and he gets the move done. Day Miles shoots up the inside off that camera angle. Didn't even expect him to come up that gap and Miles is through, and he's up into 5th position, and that's why you start on fresh soft compound of tyres around here in Spain, because he is absolutely excelling out on track, and he's getting 6 positions from the start.
And we'll see if he can try and push that further. Mays now firmly in his sights. Nellis was on the attack and immediately caught napping. Day Miles, we're not used to seeing his human form out there, but this is what it's capable of. Day Miles now runs 5th place, up 6 positions in this race. Has the net championship leader firmly in his sights, but almost loses it coming off of turn 15. Just about able to wrestle it back in the line and keep that going there. Jimmy Storm is still the leading medium runner, and he is looking at the back of Jatros as well, not letting that McLaren slip his grasp further down the field. Their freak bomb's going off, going down there. I believe that's a turn 8. As what's going on for the back is that Bart there looking at Nellis for the back there. Nellis just about hanging on, but Nellis, who's on the attack on Mays, having to back off now. Bart now trying to hassle him that, but he runs a little bit wide. Coming through at turn 3, he has got away without damage, continue to push that. What a battle here in this midfield. May still leading the train, but if Dave Miles keeps him under pressure, Jimmy Storm can maybe try and use that to get away. Stay with the 2 McLarens, and well, oh well, Jimmy Storm looking very, very good at the moment. May struggling to live with him, and is still having to put up with the charging West for Dave Miles.
Jimmy Storm's round!
Another spinner!
Jimmy Storm is round, coming out of turn 7 and 8. He's got right side end plate damage, so obviously he's caught the curb coming through turn 7, and that is him now down from that 3rd position out on track, and that's him down into 7th, and that's probably his race ruined. Just thought I mentioned, by the way, Serve the Blessed is in 8th position currently out on track. He's gained 5 positions as well. Parcells and Sapmi King have got 8 and 9 respectively as well. Dave Miles is right on the back of Mays. I will have to go though for briefly 2 minutes as Dave Miles fight on the back of Mays. Don't be surprised if you see pit stops very shortly indeed, and so the Blessed is round just as soon as I say he was going to be doing a good job. He's round, I can see it on the mini-map. He spun out of turn 12, he rejoins in 13th position. As a result, Dave Miles trying to go down the inside, not quite close enough, but I'll leave you guys with the battle for 3rd.
Here we go then. So, May still leads the way. Now the leading medium runner has been given a huge advantage in that battle with Jimmy Storm's mistake. As you can see on the graphics, Jimmy Storm has come into the pit lane for a change of front wing. And wow, oh wow, that is huge championship news. We've got another car off now. Back there, I think that's Freak Brock. Yet again, if you see that on the mini-map there, coming out of turn 9, has spun that car around there. I'm checking the wheel to see if there is any front wing damage. Looks like he's gotten away with it. Just a spin back there then. So, back to the battle for 3rd place that you're all looking at. May still leads the way. Dave Miles' charge looks to be fading maybe slightly. Nellis is beginning to bear down on him then, back there in that 5th place. And we got yellow flags yet again. That's further up the road then. As we got Shumi now out. Shumi has gone out, and that's coming out of turn 12, I think. We have a full safety car this time. And Invictus is gone now. Invictus off, dropping down in 6th place. There is complete drama there. Jatrus now promoted to the race lead immediately comes in. What does this mean for the strategies? What does this mean for any sort of considerations in this race? It has all been turned on its head. We've seen so many errors from different drivers. The soft runners all taking this opportunity. They're going to dive to the pit lane, and medium tires going on for Jatrus, and surely that means he's committing to a 2-stop strategy. Let's have a look at the other drivers there. Medium tires as well for both the other 2 drivers then. Dave Miles and Invictus. Invictus emerges some way off the back of it then. So, this has changed everything. So, let's have a little look there. You're watching, I believe, the front of this train led by Mays now. What a dramatic race we've been treated to. So far, ladies and gentlemen, do not look anywhere. So, Mays leads the way. Nellis still on his rear wing, has not let that go. Bart now promoted on to the podium. I can tell you that Bart is up 7 places, but Hulkenberg behind is up 10 places. Remarkable start, but now has Jatros on his rear wing. Now, what you're going to see is the soft runners, they will have to pit again, but they're on mediums, and so they will have that tyre advantage. They'll have 5-lap fresher tyres than all the medium runners in front, and even more so on those who start. They're going to have the equivalent of maybe 6 or 7 laps on those drivers up ahead. Jatros has a really strong position here. We'll see what he can try and make of it there. Invictus, after that mistake, drops to 11th. Now has so much work to do. Everyone, nearly everyone I should say, from 13th downwards is on the hard tyres. Jimmy Storm leading that. Jimmy Storm going rather different in terms of the strategic direction, and I want to see if he can somehow try and take those to the end of the race, try and salvage something, with Maze now leading the way out there. It's going to take some time, I think, for the race to get back underway. Silas and Freak Frog are a long way up the back, but they will still be on the lead lap, so they will not lose out hugely in that regard. Freak Frog on the mediums can probably make a charge through. Don't expect to see much of these soft tyres left in this race throughout the rest of it there, barring any other safety car. Server Blessed has come into the pit lane on those medium tyres, maybe opting for a fresher rubber on that Haas car, so keep an eye on that. But Maze now leads the way, there is no doubt about that. Nell is tucked in underneath him there. We'll see when we do get the restart how he controls it, although I'm not sure if we're going to get back to it on this lap. It looks like we are going to take some time. Serve the Blessed has actually gone for the soft tyres, so that's me eating my words very quickly then. So Serve the Blessed, keep an eye out for the American. He showed good pace earlier on. So we'll see now on those soft tyres what you can make of it. James, I think I can hear you coming back, and I can tell you now, since you left, this race has been turned entirely on its head.
What on earth has happened?
There was an incident there. Both Shumi and Invictus went off at virtually the same time. Invictus got front wing damage, I believe. Shumi was rendered out of the race entirely, brought out a safety car. All the soft starters came in for fresh rubber, which is why you're seeing Maze now leading the way out there. So all the medium starters stayed out, and all the soft runners pit. As you can see. So the strategic race has been thrown hugely on its head. Maze now leads the way, though. The net championship leader now holds the race lead. But now you have Jatrose, Miles, my apologies there, and Invictus now all on fresh mediums, going to try and make progress in there. But yeah, James, the race has been wildly mixed up there. Maze now leads the way, but my oh my, this race has been chaotic in the opening 7 laps.
Serve the Blessed, interestingly, further down the field on a set of soft compound of tyres as well. He's down there in 16th, so he'll be trying to make way up the field, I think, out on track. But Maze does lead. Safety car will be coming in next time around. Lap 8 out of 33 will begin. And we'll need the safety car if you are just tuning in. Maze in first, Nella second, Barton third, Hulkenberg fourth, Jack Roos in fifth. Pastels need to close up the gap there in sixth. Sammy King seventh. Dame Miles, though, very interestingly, along with Jack Roos, both on a fresh set of medium compound of tyres. And remember, Dame Miles, I think, came into pit lane just after I went, and obviously has really excelled, I think, coming out. He's got to be in traffic, obviously, but he's got guys in front and behind him who are on all the tyres. So he's got to make that work right here, right now in Spain.
Yeah, but that tyre advantage, how much of a difference is it going to make? Spain is historically a more difficult track than most to overtake it, I would say. So Dame Miles may have a tougher time, but certainly up 6 places before we reached that safety car period. Certainly looks like one of the leading chargers in this race, and I'm looking forward to seeing how Dame Miles gets on. Your previous race leaders, the McLarens, after Invictus' mistake, Jack Truss is now the leader of those two, and the first car on fresh medium tyres. So he will have the advantage in that regard. The McLaren driver will try and maybe use that amongst those top 4. Top 4, you can see, a rather different story to what we were at the start of the race. Maze is rather familiar, but behind him, you have Nellis up 7 positions, Bart up 7 positions, Hulkenberg up 10 positions. So huge a different climate out there. Safety car will be in that lap then, and we're going to see how everything's going to be affected. Silas, interestingly, has gone off at turn 8 under safety car.
Has Freak Ronk and Silas had a collision, I think, out on track? Because Freak Ronk hasn't got any damage, but Silas does. Left side end plate damage. Quite intriguing anyways. Maze is going to get us underway. You can see the pit stop strategy as well. The top, well, what's that? 7 out of the top 9 haven't pitted just yet. Jack Roos and Dave Miles the exception rather than the rule. But now Maze is going to set us about on this lap. And we get back underway. Maze floors it coming through the final corner. Dave Miles is picking up a 3-second time penalty for corner cutting. But we're back underway here in Spain. And Maze leads now a second, Barton third. Hulkenberg's had a disastrous start, trying to get a bit of heat into the tyres. But now Jack Roos, and there's our Storm is round through the final corner as well. Here comes Jack Roos down the inside on Hulkenberg. Brilliant move down the inside. Very late on the brakes, and the German is through. And he's up into P4. Really makes it stick. Good move indeed. Invictus as well, and Jippy Storm. Schmidtsky, I think, was round. No, it's Jippy Storm that is round, is it? No, Demiles, sorry, is the one that's round. Sorry, I can't even keep up. There's so much going on. And is that Torrenheim that's round as well? It is. Goodness me, I'm like Claire Cottingham at this stage.
Oh, Nellis drawing alongside Mays for the race lead, down the inside, and in turn 7, can he get that one done? Nellis in the Ferrari almost goes through and slides out of the corner, and immediately Mays gets back through. Nellis kept the overtake on and paid the price, and Mays reclaims the race lead. Bart's now right with them as well, so the top 3 now completely bunched up as they head into turn 10. Mays by some miracle still maintains it, and Nellis has not switched up the overtake on this lap. Now he derates, he has nothing more to use, so his attack on Mays looks to have betrayed him, but he is still charging and still going at it. Dave Allen is off again, coming out of turn 9. This is absolutely mayhem. That's absolutely mayhem out there on track. Mays still leads the way. Now got the overtake on. It looks to be safe there. Nellis had the overtake done almost, but made that mistake. Mays gets back through. Can he hold on to it now? 6/10 clear up in the front. We're on to lap 10 now in this race. This is absolute chaos on the restart.
Yeah, Invictus sets the new fastest lap of the race as well. Just ran and bold coming over the curb through 14 and 15. It was like rallycross for some of these guys. As Jav Reese absolutely hopped the curb. So did Bart. Both of them made half spins. Nellis also jumped over the curb. He didn't make a half spin. And goodness me, they were following each other right in line right there as Nellis closes up on the back of Mays once again at his formidable turn 6 and 7. He's not going to get the move done here on this time though. Torrenheim, Demars and Jippy Storm all spun underneath the safety car restart. And all of them are now into the pits. As I think so, the Blessed has just gone through on Jeffrey coming through turn 4, and he gets the move done on a set of soft compound tyre. But now Nellis tries to close in once again on the back of Mays, but not close enough. And I think it's beginning to cloud over slightly out on track here as well.
Yeah, it definitely doesn't look as straight as Zero picks up a penalty. We've seen several of those on that restart. But yeah, the weather was flawless at the start of the race, and it is beginning to decline. We'll keep an eye out on that one. It is still a pretty good day here in Catalonia. But yeah, just keep, I'd say, 2 eyes on that weather. See if anything adjusts. Still, Mays leads the way, and he's holding Nellis at arm's length there. Penalty for Serve the Blessed. A couple of mistakes, and that's why he's holding his charging an offensive back in this race at the moment there. And Jeffrey looks to be lining him up as well. This is a close battle out on the track there. Jeffrey and the Red Bull pulls to the inside. They run parallel now. Down the main straight, head for turn 1. Can Jeffrey get through on Serve the Blessed? Claims the inside line at turn 1. If you can get that stopped, he will go through there. Serve the Blessed lining him up through turn 2. And looks to the inside of turn 3. They come together at the entry. Out wide goes Jeffrey. And Serve the Blessed goes through. But that was a very, very, I'd say, over-ambitious move. He's tried to stick his nose in there. Jeffrey wasn't expecting it there. Serve the Blessed holds on to it. Controversial manner. Jeffrey runs out very wide. Coming in turn 4. Just able to wrestle it back. Invictus there. Level with Smitsky going round turn 7. Somehow they hold it together.
No way. No.
You cannot go side by side through here. But he backs out of it. Schmidsky holds 8th place. But Invictus is throwing everything at him. And again, down inside at turn 10. Can he get this one stop there? Invictus for 8th place there. Wheel to wheel with Schmidsky. He pinches him to the inside of turn 11. And it's not over.
No way.
Coming back at him. Right inside of turn 12 now. Outside of 13. Invictus has done it. Round the outside. That was sensational. Invictus somehow from somewhere found the way through. That was an incredible piece of wheel-to-wheel action. Great driving from both of them. Invictus sees it through, gets up to 8th. Now Sammy King next and it says one in the move from Invictus.
Absolutely unbelievable from Invictus. He managed to get that move done. I'm not sure if there was a little bit of cutting up on the curb, but Invictus gets the move done. He was the car ahead and he's through. Sammy King is right on the back as well of Parcells. These guys are really ignoring the track limits out on track. I'm seeing loads of guys going right coming through turn 3, but look at the gap for the lead. Mays is hanging on for grim life. Nelson at second, 3/10 away. Barton third. Jack Reese is now hooked onto the back of this front 4 as well, and he'll be hoping to try and make some impact on that McLaren on a fresh set of tyres. Salas has picked up a 3-second time penalty. Most of the field is still going. 18 drivers still going out on track. Sappy King's trying to get close to Passos now running through turn 9. Dave Miles picks up a 3-second time penalty. A little bit of sideways action there from Zero in the background as well. But goodness me, underneath the restart, Parcel, by the way, Invictus, just thought I'd mention, he's just disposed of Schmidtsky really impressively. He's now on the back of Sappy King. And Thought he was going to go for the move into turn 13, but he doesn't. And there's a yellow flag in Sector 3, and it's NSR Storm, I think, in the pit lane, if I'm not mistaken.
That's Daymiles.
No, Daymiles has retired, hasn't he? Yeah, Daymiles has retired out on track. Here comes Invictus. Now with a great run coming out the final corner, and Invictus is through on the outside line. It's job done. Schmitzky will try and run in the slipstream and behind to try and close up on Sapmi King, but Invictus says thank you very much for that one, and his charge through the field continues, and he's up into 7th. Just how far can he go as Jeffrey is through on 7th, the Blessed in turn 1?
Yeah, Jeffrey making that move stick. This time looks to have seen it through on those hard tyres there. Runs a bit out wide through turn 3. But he'll hold on to that 11th place and try and chase down his teammate. Zero up ahead. What an inspired charge though. That says from Invictus. He made the mistake. He knows he did. But he is still making the most of it there. And trying to make his way through. Up ahead is Passelson. Running in a solid 6th place at the moment in the Renault. But for how much longer can he hold that with the furious assault that the McLaren is putting onto him then? DRS and Overtaker is active. Is he going to go for it from a long way back then? No. You'd think on current form he would, but he's holding back there. Passes one very, very wide. Going right, but he just about holds on to it from the back there. Zero and Schmitzky are battling away there. I think Zero went for a lunge and has put out Schmitzky, and there must have been contact indeed down there. Now Schmitzky will maintain that, but I don't think he'll be too happy with that. And the slightest made it for the racing as is Nellis. So now these medium tyres seem to be past their best, and I'm seeing some dust almost getting collected up in the background. I'm keeping an eye out there. Jatter's getting very close to far from the race lane. Hangs back for the moment there. And Invictus is now getting up to the back on Passes, who looks to the inside, covers the middle of the track. There goes Invictus.
Wow.
Incredibly late on the brakes, and he got it stopped. Wow. What a display of driving from Invictus. Now runs 4th. Has Hulkenberg in his 6th. Invictus is flying out there at the moment. How long can he go on those mediums though? Jatter is now precious bar for the race lead, but interestingly, the 2 race leaders, Mace and Nellis, come in and decently clean air. Now have the hard tyres on, they're going to the end of the race. What will they come out, and how much of a lead can they extend on Bart and Jatterus, who currently run 1 and 2 out on track?
Invictus is honestly driving like Daniel Ricciardo. He needs to take a shoey, I think, after that move down the inside towards turn 1. Fantastic stuff. So late on the brakes. There's a yellow flag in sector 2, and then a Zero that has spun. Coming out of turn 7 and 8, so Zero has spun, and there's a VSE. The 3rd of the night. We've had a safety car and 3 VSEs now out on track, and this now nullifies, I think, what was Mays and Nellis coming out the pit lane. Bart, Hulkenberg, Passel, Satmi King essentially are going to get a free pit stop, and there is Bart coming into the pit lane from the lead of the race. Yeah, Javrous will stay out because he's on 7 lap all mediums. He has to stay out.
I feel like he could have went in for hard tyres, if I'm honest, there, and just mimic that strategy. Might have been the better call for him. We'll see, of course. But yeah, predictably, Bart is going to gain hugely out of this, and all of a sudden looks maybe a contender for even victory here. We will see, of course. There could well be more safety cars or PSEs. Really, in this division, you cannot call anything. And as now we get back to clean pack racing, and look at the gap there. Bart out in the pit lane almost there. Mays and Nellis are coming down the main straight. Bart jumps in by Subway, and Hulkenberg now into net P2 there. He's jumped right off into contention here.
Safety car really changing everything out on track, and the VSC, sorry, I should say, trying everything out on track, and those guys, the VSC ending, have now got essentially what was a free pit stop over Mays and Nellis, and they have got a really good advantage as well out on track as Nellis tries to close in on the back of Mays. It's all gone a little bit quiet for the first time in quite a while here in Spain. It's Javrous who leads, Invictus in second, both McLarens interestingly on the same strategy, and essentially it's the top 2 reversed from pole position. Invictus obviously set pole position. Javrous was in second. McLaren 1-2 again out on track. But look at the gap that Invictus is pulling. 4.6 seconds the gap now. Expect that gap to come down. Over on board though with Zero, who is on the back of Storm. As he closes in now through turn 4. And Storm going much slower, and Zero nips up the inside. Job done. Easy move, easy. That's the easiest move you'll see all night. Zero's through and he's up into 16th and has disposed of Storm as if he wasn't even there.
We're going to see if we can try and continue that progress up there. Sammy King into the pit lane now, and it begs the question, I think he may well have had to have stayed out because of Passels in front of him, his teammate, who maybe blocked his path of coming in. So he couldn't stack, and that's going to cost Sammy King quite a while.
He's
Big
joined ahead of
differ,
him.
actually. He's in front of Passos, and I have no clue how that's happened then. Passos made the stop on the VSC. I believe he was in front. I may be wrong on that one, so maybe Sammy King was in front and just missed his chance of picking under VSC, but he's in front of Passos nevertheless. About 6 seconds shy of the race lead. Sammy King's actually come out relatively decently here, and it could be up for a top 5 here in this race if he keeps going.
Yeah, he could be in Mays and Nellis, obviously, 6 seconds pretty much up the road as you see a bit of a moment out on track. Who was that?
Sammy King ran very well coming through 4, went through the grass, just about managed to hold it further back down the field. I think we have,
another VSC!
Bots out! Coming at turn 9, and has dropped it on the exit, and the net race leader has completely gone. We have another VSC, and now the McLarens are favoured. Jack Roos comes in, and Vegas has to stay out. Jack Roos now, the pendulum swings back towards him. What unbelievable!
We're only halfway through, and I'm so confused as to what is going on. Why on earth have we had a 4th VSC out on track? I know this game wants to promote the safety cars, a VSC coming out, but come on. This is getting to the point where the VSC and the safety car might just ruin the race for a majority of the field. We're back underneath green flag racing. Nellis trying to close in on Mays, running down in towards turn 1. But both McLarens have now got the run of the race. Invictus on a set of mediums. He had to stay out. Jack Roos, currently out on track, is 7 seconds clear pretty much of Hulkenberg. In a net race leader, Sammy King is now round, coming through turn 3, and he's got left side end plate damage.
Yes, Sammy King now making the error and runs out wide. You can see he has to go down virtually the full lap, but that damage. Josh Roos with their penalty may swing things against him. Now, somehow, Hulkenberg from, I'm just going to quickly check this here, Hulkenberg from 14th on the grid now runs in a net P2. That is simply remarkable, and it shows really that this race, as I think Sammy King is losing places now yet again.
He's got more damage. He's got more damage.
Must have gone off again.
Yeah, total left side end plate damage coming through turn 3. He spun, and his end plate went, but not as enough as that. Now Freak Bronco just absolutely ease on by, and actually the camera cuts to Jippy Storm, who's trying to chase down Serve the Blessed out on track. Goodness me. This race is honestly going from one extreme to the others. Now we might have a battle for 9th and 10th. We finally might have a good battle out on track. Serve the Blessed on a fresher set of hards against Jippy Storm on a set of mediums, and you would favour, I think, the set of mediums at this stage in the race. Serve the Blessed now will try and defend as it is might, as it is want, but you can see where this one's going to go because Jippy Storm absolutely sails on by. The overspeed is too powerful and the racing point is through, and he's up into 9th position. And Jippy Storm, he will have to pit again, but the more ground he makes now, the better his chances will be, especially because Zero has picked up the fastest lap of the race as well, and he'll probably come out in and around that sort of area if, and I would say if, there is not another safety car or a VSC, and I hope to God there's not.
That is a very big F, James, I must say, because, yeah, this race has almost been too much for us to process, I think. It has been just remarkably just inconsistent. And look at this, though. Mays has closed up to Hulkenberg and is now all over the rear wing of the Haas driver. And this is very, very important here. In the context of not only the race, but the championship battle. It's very early days, but we are sussing out potential contenders. And Hulkenberg is going to be under pressure. Nellis has sat on Mace's rear wing all the way through, but has not been able to get that move done just yet. Hulkenberg looks to have maintained that 4th position. Mace has a lot of closing speed though, and I'm starting to doubt what I said, because Mace, leading on the inside line, he was about half a second back or more, but he's out that inside and won it through. Mace from, I have to say, out of absolutely nowhere, now runs into 4th place. I was at the very least expecting that. Now runs through. Shiminsky now attacking Passos, backs out of it last minute though.
Yeah, backs out of it last minute. I thought he was going to go down the inside. The gap was favouring him actually out on track, but look, he just runs out wide now coming through turn 3, and that brings Passos back still in that 7th position. Hulkenberg will try and attack back on Mays. He's got lap pressure tyres. He's got 55% of ERS. Mays has consumed more ERS out on track there as well, and Nellis is just sitting all over the back thinking, what can I do to try and get past these two? And the Ferrari will try and hunker down onto the back of the Haas. but the Haas. Now
No
Anderson
way.
and Nellis is going for an absolute dive bomb down the inside. He has to give up that position, surely, out on track, because that is a dive bomb and a half if I've ever seen one. He has got the move done. There was hardly
Still
any
going.
contact, but if I've got to be honest, Nellis has to give up that position, otherwise he's going to land himself in deep, deep trouble.
Yeah, I don't think there was actually much contact at all, but that was largely down to Hulkenberg completely diving out the way. Nellis just simply did not get the car stopped and turned for the corner in time. It was an outrageous lunge. He was so far back into a braking zone that isn't particularly long. Nellis does get through, but we'll see, of course, what the race stewards have to say about that one. Mays, though, has used this to try and stretch his advantage now up front of that battle. Now runs 4th place, but looking very impressive out there. Interestingly enough, Invictus is still making ground. I think he's pulled away around a second or so from Jethro's. We have another car off. That's it, it's our Storm going out of turn 12. I'm looking to see as the Alfa Romeo got wing damage, is just about survived. What you've got to say, James?
Yeah, just to pick up on something as well, I think Satmi King might have spun as well. He's in 16th position now. He was running 15th. He's dropped down behind Torenheim. So just to pick up on that, I saw the drop of position, but I just want to confirm that on the stream. I think Satmi King did drop down position, and he has. He's got right side end plate damage.
Yeah, and Invictus coming into the pit lane now. So yeah, Sammy King also in predictably from the rear of the field, but a horrible race so far. It was looking pretty good for Sammy King earlier on, but yeah, things starting to turn against him. So Invictus into the pit lane now is going to put on a new set of medium tyres, and I believe, yeah, he can do that according to the strategy. So yeah, that seems to be a decent call, and surely now he can charge. Interestingly enough, Jeffrey is still out there and actually running fairly quickly. Where's Invictus going to emerge? So that's where question. He's right in the mix. Look at this.
Yeah, right ahead of Hulkenberg, and Hulkenberg's going to be about a second off, I think, coming through turn 1. So Invictus actually has landed himself in a really good opportunity here to really push on these tyres. Now, the difference between the hards and the mediums is only about 0.6 of a second, but on fresh mediums, Invictus will be trying to break now. Essentially, think of him on a set of soft compounder tyre. He's got to try and get to Nellis, to Mays, who are going probably to the end of the race. Invictus has now got to push like he has never pushed before out on track. And Nellis, I think, just ahead, has made a slight mistake, and it brings the gap down to 1.2 seconds. And look at the freshness of those tyres as he begins to close in once again. Schmidtsky closing in as well on Passels for 7th and 8th. The Brit and the Belgian going to do battle. Passels arguably having probably the best race I've ever seen him drive. Obviously, with a bit of luck in contention, Jeffrey's still yet to pit, but Passels could land himself in a possible top 5 position, maybe.
Does look very, very strong. We'll need more to go his way, certainly. As Nellis, I'm just going to call away because Nellis made a bit of an error coming out of turn 15, and that immediately puts Invictus onto the rear wing. We saw how effective Invictus was with overtaking earlier on in the race. Now there's a clear run at Nellis, pulls the inside towards turn 1, and Invictus surely now through if he can just about get that stop for turn 1. Yes, he can. Invictus is flying now on 4th place, and you said today might well be McLaren's day. We'll see, of course.
Schmidtsky around the outside of Passels. Brilliant move, right around the outside of turn 1. Schmidtsky, Passels broke very early, I've got to say, but Schmidtsky is through, and he's up into 7th position. Late move around the outside, he gets the move done, and that's the first time we've seen it tonight that somebody has managed to get an overtake done around the outside of turn 1.
Impressive, certainly, from Schmidtsky now runs into P7. Still has a run in the top 5, but he is a long way behind Hulkenberg. We'll see where Jeffrey comes out in relation to everyone else. He hasn't lost that much time, I must say, to Jethro's up in the lead there. He is running a solid enough pace on very old tyres. So it's a decent race so far from Jeffrey, and he will charge, surely, at the end of the race. Keep an eye on that. Look at Invictus, though. This is remarkable, then. After such a big error, you said he could have won this race with the way it was going for it, but he's still making the most of it, and now hounding the next championship leader. Coming out of the last corner, Mays punches out of it, doing everything he can to hold on, but can he possibly hold on? Invictus coming in again, but is the gap too great? Here comes Invictus getting in there, laying him up for turn 1. They're down the inside, he's going to go there. Mays can't give it up, the right inside of turn 1, inside of 2, comes back him. They are still wheel to wheel, but down the inside, Invictus gets the move done, and yet again, so clinical, so effective, so brave, but he's made the overtake one. Mays tries to pin him off going into turn 4. Doesn't work out, and now Invictus runs third. And now, you said he's got about 8 or 9 seconds to make up with his teammate. Maybe that's a bit too far. But at the moment, Invictus having yet another brilliant race, and the McLaren turning into an absolutely dominant victory there on track. Once Jeffrey comes in, it'll be a 1-2 for McLaren. Unbelievable scenes.
Arguably, with that battle you've just seen with Invictus and Maze, they are the 2 cleanest drivers here in Division 5. Hats off to them for keeping it so clean. And Maze, I thought, was going to dummy him down the inside and towards turn 4. He didn't. And Invictus now begins to pull away. But it could actually work back into Maze and Nellis's advantage, because if they keep that gap at around 1 second, they can maintain a bit of a DRS train in behind. And just saying that, he just gets within 0.8 of a second. Nellis, in fact, is out of the DRS train, 1.2 seconds off. Jibby Storm, interestingly, is now right on the back of Parcells. As soon as I say that, he catches a bit of a half spin coming through turn 13, and now through 14 and 15, Jibby Storm really attacking now on those tyres. I don't think they're going to get to the end, but nonetheless, he is going to have a move on Parcells here down the straight, and you can probably see where this one's going to go. Jibby Storm waltzes on by. Parcells tries to come across to try and push Jibby Storm off to force him to the inside, but Jibby Storm is through, and he's up into 8th position. Zero, interestingly, he went on that set of soft compound of tyres. He should know that the lap times, the degradation around here is not great for the set of softs, and he sticks on the set of mediums to the end of the race, because there's no chance he was going to get 9-lap-old softs, even though he's just got 7 laps on that set of tyres. But Zero is back into the pit, and he's going to come out in relatively free air in 13th.
Yeah, so we'll see what he can make of that. I think Zero does have quite a few penalties, though, to his name in this race, so we'll probably get a full update on that sometime in the near future. You mentioned Maze staying within that DRS range. Well, at the moment, it seems rather unlikely, because Invictus is still flying at the moment. In fact, he's taken about a second out of Jatros in the last lap. In front of him, Jeffrey finally comes into the pit lane, and I think it will be soft tyres to the end of the race for the Red Bull. We'll see where he emerges, and we'll see what he can make of it there. Jeffrey, from last on the grid, trying to salvage something out of it there. There he comes in. It's going to be a front wing change, though. That's going to hold him back. But how far can Jeffrey move up the field and try and secure points and try and get his championship campaign on track there? Jeffrey's going to emerge probably on the near reaches of the top 10, but he'll be flying, and we'll see how far he can make in the last 8 or 9 laps of this race.
Jeffrey and Serve the Blessed, and Jeffrey and Freak Gronk actually are going to be side by side. Nearly, and Freak Gronk has actually got ahead of him out on track, so Jeffrey will begin to push on that to the softs. Jibby Storm is going to be the interesting one in a clear track completely. He's got final sector pretty much, or the first sector pretty much for himself now out on track, as the yellow flag in sector 3. NSL Storm is round. Is that going to bring out a safety car? That's off track, as we saw Tornheim fly through there. That's off track to the right hand side coming through turn 12. But will that be enough to warrant a safety car? I think, honestly, we would have seen it by now. And yeah, that car has been recovered immediately. No safety car for the NSL Storm, and now he is out of the race. The 5th retirement out on track. Here is Jeffrey on the back of his fellow countryman Freak Gronk. And Freak Gronk, of course, has applied his trade in League of Europe Formula 2 so far this season. And Jeffrey, oh my God almighty, goodness me, it was honestly like a jet-propelled jet fighter on the back of Freak Gronk. And God almighty, how he got that car stopped, I do not know. Unbelievable. He's now fighting out for P9 and 10. So the Blessed looks like he's coming back to these guys as well. So could mean a 3-way fight for 8. But I think Jeffrey at the final corner with 97% of ERS is now going to get into the toe and get into the slipstream of Freak Gronk. And look at where this one's going to go. Look at it closing speed. He switches to the inside line. And now Jeffrey passes the camera position and he's through, and he's up into 9th position out on track. Very easy in the end.
The DRS and the slipstream seems incredibly powerful going down that main straight. We've seen so many times now where drivers have just pulled so much time. Look at Jeffrey immediately now, getting on to pop to the rear wing of Serve the Blessed. Serve the Blessed made a bit of an error going through turn 4, and immediately Jeffrey is onto him there. That's the reality of fresh soft tyres, folks, and you're seeing it now in action. So, Serve the Blessed surely can't hold this for very long, because Jeffrey closing up, going through turn 7 and 8 there, and nearly losing it. Serve the Blessed, trying to hang on to it there. Look at this through turn 96, very, very close, runs wide. Jeffrey just keeps it on there. Serve the Blessed doesn't come to the inside line, so Jeffrey looks to the inside, doesn't go for it. Serve the Blessed runs wide though, and up alongside Jeffrey, goes through into turn 11, moves up into 8th place. Jeffrey flying, now round runs P8, and less than 3 seconds waits for Parcel, so Jeffrey making that work. Serve the Blessed had nothing to defend with. Now it's Freak Brock maybe try and chase him down, but it's a poor run for Freak Brock coming out at turn 15. I think that will just about hold. So Jeffrey moves up then and immediately sets the fastest lap. Well, the Red Bull started last, has not scored a single point this season, but he is flying, has passes in his sights. This is a great recovery drive from Jeffrey, and maybe, just maybe, it could be a kickstart for him and maybe a potential championship charge. Jimmy Storm another fastest lap behind. He can try maybe get up to Freak Brook and to Serve the Blessed. We'll see how that one works out, but Jeffrey up 2 places in the lap. Now runs a P8, Parcel's just in front of him there. Strong charge from Jeffrey. We'll see if he can keep it up.
Jack Roos and Invictus, by the way, gap has stabilised completely. 6.5 seconds out on track. Jack Roos looks as if he's going to win this one. Invictus in second, Mays in third, Nellis in fourth. But like the American election, nothing is said and done until the final votes are counted. Nellis right on the back of Mays. And he is closing them down. As I say that, he just runs wide and completely bottles it coming through turn 13 and again catches the curve through 14 and 15. And just like that, from what I was going to say, a DRS range, he's now out of that DRS range, completely out on track. Just thought I'd mention as well, I think Seven the Blessed has made a slight mistake, and Afric Gronk is all over the back of him as well for P9 and 10 out on track. Zero's trying to get closer to Silas as well, but Jeffrey is right on the back of Passel. Goodness me, he's absolutely came from nowhere. Jeez almighty. Jeffrey on the back of Passel, running down the straight, and Belgian against the Dutch. I think it's only going to go one way down the straight as Jeffrey pulls out, and this is job done. Parcells is not going to fight that one, and Jeffrey is through and he's up into P7 out on track. So the Blessed has managed to fend off the attentions as well of Freak Ronk in behind, and Silas and Zero coming around the final corner as well for 12th and 13th. Looking good so far. Zero trying to close in, running down the straight, not going to use up any overtake mode, and certainly not going to be close enough running down the straight either. Positions, by the way, Jeffrey has gained 12 positions from 19th on the grid. Parcells has gained 10 positions. Oh, and Silas gets caught on the curb coming through turn 2. And how on earth he didn't spin there is beyond me.
One thing to note, Jatrus just lost a second to Invictus, so he must have made an error, and I've checked. Invictus is completely clean on penalties. Jatrus has 3 seconds, so that gap is coming down. This race is now between the McLarens, I believe, and it is not over by any stretch of the imagination. Penalties could define it. 1.5 seconds is the net gap between them. So Invictus is chasing him down on fresh or medium tyres. Can try and make the most of it. Jatrus looked to have had this one, but with a mistake and with an extra penalty, 4.3 seconds is not safe at all. We still have 5 laps to go in this race. And at the moment, the McLaren battle hangs on a knife edge. Invictus charging, but will he make it in time with 4.5 laps to go?
Freak Ron closing in on Serve the Blessed, sails past him, running down the straight. Serve the Blessed's got no chance there, and Freak Ron is through and he's up into 9th position. Good easy move there once again by the Williams on the back of the Haas, and he gets moved and he's up into that 9th position. Zero again trying to close up. He used a bit of overtake mode up this time to try and go close to the back of Silas. He's not going to come from this far back, is he? No. Goodness me, nearly answered my own question there. Silas in 12th, Zero in 13th. Look at the cloud cover though. The cloud's really beginning to build here over the track. Jeffrey's picked up a 3-second time penalty in his pursuit on Schmidtsky. So he disposed of Passos. I don't think he's going to get to Schmidtsky before the end of the race. Zero though still on the back of Silas. We'll try and intertwine between a couple of battles and Victors. Oh really, Zero quite close there to the back of Silas. Nearly tapped the back end. In fact, I think he might have tapped the back end there as well. But Jack Roos and Invictus, 3.6 seconds. The gap is falling down and Zero's just made a mistake and it gives the advantage to Silas.
Yes, so Silas trying to hang on. As I say that, goes spearing off at turn 9 into the wall. Somehow not out of the race. That was a heavy impact on the wall. But he seems to have gone away with virtually no damage. Incredible. So Silas gets away with that, but he does lose the possession to 0. I was watching it. That was a heavy impact, but look at the McLarens. 3.5 seconds the gap. The way this is going, Invictus may well overhaul his teammate. He could be heading for race victory here. 3.5 laps to go. Can Jatrus? Does he have anything left to try and hold back Invictus' charge here?
Yeah, 3.4 seconds the gap, but the advantage for Jack Roos is time will run out eventually for him out on track to try and overhaul his teammate, and Invictus will be hoping to try and get a little bit of action now to try and close him down. He needs essentially a penalty or two from Jack Roos ahead, and Invictus 3 seconds behind is narrowing that gap all the time. It's like Biden and Trump, I think, in the American election. That's not the last time I mentioned that either. Jack Roos leading the way. Invictus in second. Mays in third. Mays has pulled out a really good gap, actually, to Nellis. The gap was about 1.1 seconds. Mays now in third, Nellis in fourth. Freak Gronk is now closing in on Parcells for 8th position. And Freak Gronk is in 9th currently. Jibby Storm on fresh softs is now on the back of Sir the Blessed, just in behind these guys. They're coming through turn 13 and 14. And now Parcells through 15 and 16. Now, Freak Gronk attacks, running out the final corner. Got to get the overtake mode on now. Halfway down the straight, it's not going to work. He's not going to close in from this far back, surely. And Freak Gronk, yeah, he's going to have to hang on from another time. Jibby Storm, though, doesn't hang on for another time. And he's through and he's up into the top 10.
Sailing past Serve the Blessed then as Jimmy Storm. Serve the Blessed massively out of shape coming through turn 2 as well. We'll just about hold on to it. I do want to stress that Jatrus does have a 3-second penalty, Invictus does not. The gap between them, 3 seconds. Well, would you look at that? Invictus actually just clawed that under the margin that he needs. 2 laps to go. Well, Invictus tyres that are going to be going off at a faster rate than Jatrus's, will they hang on? That's the real question. But Invictus now in the net race lead, so he has pulled this back. Jatrus, does he have anything to fight with? They're both using the last of their overtake, I think. Going down that main straight, 2 laps to go, but Jatrus' lead is coming down. Invictus may well have this one, he just avoids a penalty or a mistake. The McLaren drivers go to war, but at the moment Invictus looks favoured here.
Yeah, Parcells just running wide as well. We run on board with the battle with Freak Gronk and Parcells there. And Parcells on 8th, Freak Gronk in 9th, Jibby Storm 10th has launched onto the back of these two, and he could get a possible P8 out of all of this. Unbelievable to think he was about 10 seconds back on these guys coming out of the pit lane, but now Jibby Storm attacks coming out the final corner. He'll try and close in on Freak Gronk as it is one running down the straight, but the DRS train is nullifying this, and I think Jibby Storm is not going to have enough pace to try and get the move done. Freak Gronk might try it coming through turn 2, then through turn 3. The fresher tyres are going to really work to Jibby Storm's advantage. Once wide out of turn 3, we'll try and get the inside line, but he's not close enough. And Serve the Blessed, I think, has just made a slight mistake out on track there as well, as he's now lost the touch of the guys ahead of him out on track. Jatrus 2.4 seconds clear of Invictus, and I think Invictus is going to be landing himself with another interview, possibly from last week in China. That was a bit of a mouthful to say, but still, Freak Gronk, oh, goodness me, sideways, coming out of there. Now Jibby Storm right on the back of him. Now, only 0.2 of a second separating these guys out on track. And again, they're just going to be nullified running down and towards turn 10. And Jibby Storm has to try and find a way through. And Hulkenberg's out. Hulkenberg is out. Coming through turn 14 is exactly where Jeffrey went off, I think, in qualifying.
Oh, that's heartbreak for Hulkenberg. What a race it was. But yeah,
where is
crashing on the pit entry.
The pit entry, he's also coming out of turn 15. He's got caught on the outside curb, hasn't he? That's so unfortunate for Hulkenberg. Running a strong P5 there as well. Give Schmidtsky now a P5. Here comes Jibby Storm though, on the back of Freak Gronk. And again, these guys are just nullified by the DRS running down the straight. And they stay in position for now. So the Blessed has dropped off the back of these. Freak Gronk, though, is really hounding the back of Parcells. Jibby Storm trying to hand the back as well.
Look at this.
But Freak Gronk down the inside. Can he get the move done? Leans on Parcells. Gets it. Gets a move done, and Parcells out wide. Little bit of contact, well, massive contact there, as you say. And Freak Gronk now through and up to 7th, but that will be investigated, I'm sure. We're right on board though with Jack Roos, who's coming around the final corner. He's trying to find a little bit more time on Invictus, but Jack Roos round the final corner to McLaren 1-2 as you look at it. Jack Roos wins. Invictus wins though, out on track, given the penalties. Mays is going to be finishing in third. That is Nellis trying to close him down in fourth. Might he change of position? No. Mays stays third, Nellis fourth. Schmidtski in fifth. Serve the Blessed has gone through on Parcells, who runs out wide. So Serve the Blessed is now through and he's up into P9. My voice is going. Schmidtski coming around the line in P5.
Oh, Jimmy Storm's off.
Jimmy Storm is off. And I thought he had a puncture, but he doesn't. And he's going to hang on for P8, I think, out on track 3. Grump coming across the line now in P7. Good result from him. Jimmy Storm across the line in 8. Serve the Blessed. Parcells. Make of this what you will. Jimmy Storm 7. Parcells 9. Serve the Blessed 10th across the line. 0 and Salas were waiting on out on track. But Invictus has landed himself a P1 and an interview with us. So let's get the 3 guys in.
Well, I think Mays is usually unable to because of a lack of mic. So I'm not actually sure about Jatro. Yeah, I'm not actually sure about Jatros, but if we can get both the McLaren guys in, that'd be good. Yeah,
Salas then across the line in 12th. And driver of the day voted is Jeffrey for gaining the most positions, I think, out on track. Jeffrey drove a really good race, picks up a good haul of points as well. But the man of the moment is Invictus Many Numbers out on track as he wins here in Spain.
Yeah, that was a fantastic drive from Invictus. The race kind of just fell into the hands of both the McLaren drivers, and it was incredibly engaging to see that just ebb and flow, particularly over those last few laps. But in the end, Invictus came good, and he is going to be your winner. And after the podium in China, well, he is on a great run of form, and maybe, just maybe, can he turn that into a championship challenge?
He could do, and it could give Mays something to think about as well, as he's outscored him out on track there as well, as the 2 McLarens dominate like old school Formula 1. Invictus wins, Jack Roos in second, Mays there in third, with Nellis in fourth, really hounding the back of Mays in the end. Well, only 9/10 of a second as they came across the line, but Nellis, of course, with those 6 seconds worth of penalties. Schmidtski in P5, well improved from him, with Freak Runk from 16th on the grid up to 6th. Jimmy Storm in 7th, fastest lap point goes to him. Jeffrey in 8th, with Parcells in 9th, Serve the Blessed in 10th. 0 in 11th, with Salas in 12th. Torenheim 13th, Sapmi King in 14th, Hulkenberg in 15th. Hulkenberg actually gets counted within the results, even though he DNF'd out on track. I think Torenheim and Sapmi King did finish on their own accord, so they finished 13th and 14th. Hulkenberg crashed out, but he does get counted as +2 laps. But I think he doesn't get the points because he crashed out of the race. You have to cross the line to get the points at the end of the day. And I'm sure Dan is now working frantically in the background to invite Invictus Many Numbers and Jack Roos into the chat. And I'm sure we'll get these guys in very shortly indeed. But we'll focus on next week, because next week we go to Baku, which is one of those tracks that I absolutely love to commentate on. If you've seen my Twitter, remember TTL F2 back in the day? Toxic and Blizzard to the line? Go and watch that clip, because we might get that next week.
Oh, I remember that, actually. That was one of the finest battles on the last lap. But a very good commentary from yourself, actually, just want to say. But yeah, we do now have Invictus with us, I believe. And so we'll get word from you very shortly. Well, Invictus, maybe you weren't expecting an interview, and it's a bit more than that this week. The race really played into your hands, and you were able to see it through in the end. Just talk us through your emotions then after that enthralling race.
Well, I was panicking for the 10 last laps, because I knew that, I don't know how you say his name, the guy in front of me had a 3-second penalty, so I just had to get in the 3-second penalty, well, the 3 seconds, and I managed to do that, which is great.
Excellent.
I'm expecting Dan to ask another question there.
Yeah.
Oh, was I? I guess I'm. My running things tonight then is I set that president. Okay. Okay, head commentator. I'll get to work. Yeah, I was going to ask you about just the emotions going through that race, really, because it was one. So many just different safety cars and VSCs. I think in total we had 5 different instances, 4 VSCs and 1 full safety car. How was it like just adapting your strategy all the way through it to try and match with it, and how much of a mental battle was that in your head?
I wouldn't say it did, to be fair. Everything just seemed to work out well. I mean, the safety cars were a bit annoying, but it just went my way.
Yeah, that's great. One thing, of course, you of course, you got your podium last time out in China,
Yeah.
and now a win here. Is this, now, we were talking about this last time, is this the start of something for you, or are we going to expect to see you more and more often in this interview box? Do you genuinely think that you can maybe turn this into a potential championship challenge, or is it a bit too early to say that?
Well, I expected to crash, to be honest, but I feel like I'm just getting lucky.
Don't say that.
I mean, I had the pace today, but it's just, yeah, luck.
A little bit of luck. Well, I have to see about that. I'm just working out the maths, and I have a feeling you're either second or third in the championship as it stands as a result of that those
Very
races out on
nice.
track, which is fantastic. You're only a few points off Maze, I think, now as well, which is quite good. Looking
Much better
ahead,
than last season.
exactly,
Yep.
exactly, a lot better than last season. Looking ahead to next week, then in Baku, of course, it is one of the most fearsome tracks for a driver to get a grip of. How do you rate your chances going into there? Because I recall last week you said you thought you had no chance here. Are you going to say that again?
Yeah, well, hopefully if I say I've got no chance, I'll end up winning again.
It's a good motto to have. It's a good mentality to have, that.
Yeah,
But
reverse
we will
psychology, it's great.
we will let you go, Invictus. Go and enjoy your night.
Awesome. Thank you.
And I'm not sure if Jack Roos has joined us. He hasn't.
He is
at
in the
this
group, but
stage.
yeah, he is in the group, but I'm not sure if he's able to join us, so we might just just have Invictus. We'll see, of course, but yeah, I'm not too optimistic on Jatrus joining us tonight.
We'll have to see. I'll see if he said anything actually in the comments section. Division 4, by the way, was live. There was a little bit of a technical glitch at the beginning of the stream. About 3/4 of qualifying, I think, was missed, but fantastic race nonetheless. Freak Wrong coming in there in the comment section saying, definitely I saw a returning theme this race. Never have I ever seen that many yellow flags in one race ever. They even had to refuel the safety car. Yeah. I agree
Well, I
with
think
that, to be honest. Yeah.
Well, I think the real safety car only had to go out once. It was really that virtual safety car that made quite repeated appearance and, of course, dramatically changed just the whole prospects of the race and the way the strategies all unfolded. A bit of a strange one here tonight. We did get treated to a lot of action, though, which is always good to see. I'm not sure if we are going to get treated with Jatros's presence here tonight, so I think we may well have to wrap this up, James. Of course, head commentator, I'll leave this to you if we want to keep going or if we're going to round things off for tonight.
At least he hasn't called me Aiden this week.
I thought that would come back to bite me at one point.
But thank you so much for tuning in, of course, to TTML Division 5. We hope you have enjoyed the action out on track. Of course, do leave a like, comment, subscribe. Take that notification bell, of course, if you are new to the channel. I'm going to do a slight bit of self-promotion here, and I'm allowed to do this. It's my 50th... he yawns, but I'm commentating over him tomorrow. 50th commentary in League of Europe Division 1 tomorrow night. Come and join me. It's going to be a bit of a... I hope it's not going to be a bit of a celebration, and I really hope that it's not going to be a boring race either. We've got Alpha Trix and Montana going down into the third part of the season, down to the wire. Come and join in for that, because seriously, you guys will be treated. That's on the League of Europe channel, 6:40 p.m. UK time, and that is going to be hopefully without the sound of fireworks going off in the background tomorrow night as well. But thank you so much for tuning in to TTML Division 5. We'll wrap up here. Please keep safe. Please stay safe and keep your family safe as well. We know how lockdown is treating us here in the UK and across Europe. Please keep at it. Keep calm and carry on. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, goodbye.